Hello everyone and welcome. I'm Kawaii Brit, and today's video is going to be the first of my October series. This month, the videos will all be Halloween themed, and instead of verbalizing the steps I take to make my creations, I'm going to be sharing different spooky stories. My stories, my town stories, and other stories that just interest me. I'm aware that many of you may be skeptics, so if that's the case, I hope you enjoy the craft I'm making. And for those of you interested in history, haunts, and just plain spooky things, I hope you enjoy taking this adventure in the series with me. Today I'm going to be speaking about the historical haunting in my hometown at a place we call Rehmeyer's Hallow. If you grew up here, the mention of Rehmeyer's Hallow is always a hot topic. I remember it was always used as a dare, a rite of initiation among teens at my school. The landmark created many stories and many nightmares to those that accepted those dares. I've always been interested in this property and the events that put it into the history books. The tragic event that took place here is one passed down from generation to generation. The tragic event that created an environment for many hauntings and strange happenings to occur. To better understand the motive behind this tragic event, let us take a look at the area in which Rehmeyer's Hallow is settled. Rehmeyer's Hallow sits in what is known as York County, Pennsylvania. The history of Pennsylvania begins in 1681 when William Penn received a royal deed from King Charles II of England. This deed was to settle a debt that the king owed Penn's father. William Penn founded the colony as a place of religious freedom for the Quakers. And in response, Pennsylvania attracted several other ethnic groups and religious groups fleeing religious persecution. One significant group was a large population of Germans. We call this population the Pennsylvania Dutch. The Pennsylvania Dutch are a cultural group formed by the German immigrants settling in the state of Pennsylvania during the 18th and 19th centuries. They were made up of German, Reformed, Mennonite, Lutheran, Moravian, and other religious groups, and came from various areas within the Roman Empire. The first settlers described themselves as Deutsch, corresponding with the German language, but later changed it to Dutch. All brought with them their language, a number of German dialects, and through interactions created their own unique language and culture. As I said, the Pennsylvania Dutch comprised of many varying values, religions, and beliefs. The strict followers limited themselves to a simple traditional lifestyle, the Amish. Other groups assimilated into modern society. The Pennsylvania Dutch were extremely religious and also very superstitious. From this, many beliefs grew. One such belief is the use of hex signs, decorative signs with symbols that were placed on the sides of houses and barns to ward off evil, bring good health and happiness, bring in weather events, and even help with fertility. The use of the hex is also seen as a witchcraft, and many other witchcrafts in the area developed, such as Braucherei, healing without medicine, powwow, health through words and motions, as well as hexameric and grutifus, marks drawn to ward off evil. One such practitioner of these beliefs was Nelson D. Rehmeyer. Rehmeyer was born in 1868. The Rehmeyers were well known throughout the area, and Nelson Rehmeyer had a reputation locally of being a powerful powwow doctor. Rehmeyer settled himself in a small 2-story wooden house in the woods of an area known as Spring Valley Park, what we now call Rehmeyer's Hallow or Hex Hallow. Enter another well-known powwow doctor by the name of John Bleimeyer. Bleimeyer was born in 1895 and learned German folk magic from a young age, as his family had been powwowers for at least 3 generations. From a young age, he began to believe that he had a shadow hanging over him. As he grew, he became the victim of many tragic occurrences, which led him to believe that he had been hexed. Bleimeyer had become suspicious of everyone, even his wife, who had him committed to an asylum in fear for her safety. She soon after filed for divorce, and it was granted. Bleimeyer didn't remain locked up for very long. He simply walked out of the asylum and vanished. In 1928, Bleimeyer grew more suspicious of being hexed when he met 2 other men who believed they were victims of hexes, John Curry and Milton Hess. Their stories caused him to become more fixated on his beliefs. This prompted him to seek out advice from another well-known powwow doctor named Nellie Knoll. Noel, also known as the Marietta River Witch, told him that he had come under the hex of Nelson D. Rehmeyer. Noel instructed him to find his way into Rehmeyer's home, cut a lock of Rehmeyer's hair, and to bury it in the dirt. She also told him to fully remove the curse he would have to find and burn Rehmeyer's spellbook called The Long Lost Friend. On November 26, 1928, Bleimeyer made a trip with Clayton Hess to Rehmeyer's Hollow to obtain the items. Bleimeyer went to the door and asked Rehmeyer if they could have a word. Bleimeyer and Rehmeyer had a long talk about the aspects and elements of powwowing. After a while, Rehmeyer realized that it had gotten late and invited the two men to stay the night. They agreed. While Rehmeyer slept, they searched for the spellbook. Unable to find it, they decided to give up on the mission and left in the morning. On November 27, 1928, Bleimeyer again arrived at Rehmeyer's house. This time he brought with him John Curry and Milton Hess's son, Wilson Hess. Bleimeyer had made an attempt at procuring the items the night before, but he knew that tonight would be different. After Rehmeyer answered the door to let the men in, while his back was turned, the men tackled him down to the ground. They tied his legs with a rope, and during the struggle, Rehmeyer was beaten and strangled to death. Realizing that Rehmeyer was dead, they searched for the book. Still unable to find it, they realized that the hex would have been broken due to Rehmeyer's death. To hide their tracks, they robbed the house of any money they could find, and last, to cover up their crime, they set Rehmeyer on fire. Somehow, the fire put itself out, thus leaving enough evidence to convict the trio of the crime. The trial that followed, known as the York Witch Trial, or the Hex Murder, and the underlying stories of modern witchcraft and violence caused a sensation at that time. The story grabbed the national headlines about the York Hex Slayers, which brought intense scrutiny to folk practices. All three men were convicted of murder. Bleimeyer and Curry received life sentences. Hess received 10 to 20 years. But all three were released before serving their full terms. Rehmeyer's house, where he was murdered, still stands on Rehmeyer's Hollow Road. Teenagers can usually be found down in the hollow seeking evidence of ghosts. The whole area has a sense of unease. Many locals have reported various sightings over the years. Some people report seeing Nelson Rehmeyer himself wandering the hollow. They say he's there to ward off the evil they say lies in the woods close by. As a teenager, I've heard many stories of a black dog with red eyes in the forest staring back at you, or just a forest full of many red eyes staring back at you. There are also many UFO sightings in the area. One of the house's most notorious acts, though, is the ability to return stones that have been thrown at it. Other evidence claimed in the area comes in the form of shadowy figures, cold spots, and EVP recordings. Descendants of Nelson Rehmeyer opened the Hex House to the public in 2007 with displays from his life and murder. His great-grandson owns the home today and is trying to make the house into a historic exhibit. The house contains most of the original furniture, including his sofa. And, eerily enough, in the kitchen lies a section made of glass covering the charred floorboards from the attempt to burn Rehmeyer's body. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this October's theme. If you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button up there to be notified when my next video comes out. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Those links are located in the description for you. I also stream. Check me out on Twitch on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and Saturdays at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. My Twitch is also in the description. If you made it this far, hit the like button if you haven't already. And let me know in the comments, would you be interested in hearing more of my ghost stories in the future? Thanks again for watching, everyone. Happy haunting!